Minimal Audio just released current version 2. They sent me a license. Let's check it out. Here's what current looks like. It's got this new play page where it has this dual XY controller. You can have 4 macro controls shown on this circle here. In the engine page, you've got these 4 macros assignable here. Modulation and assigning things to macros is just drag and drop, super simple. There's a big effects section, and the stream page is all of the sound packs, so all the different sort of preset packs that you can get, as well as wavetables and sounds in here. So like sample libraries, wavetables that you can download, just a massive amount of stuff that you can explore in here to create your own sounds or just get started with the presets. The actual engine page has 2 different wavetable engines, the granular engine, sub-oscillator, as well as a sampler. So there's a ton of stuff you can do here. There's a modulation matrix and pitch bend, mod wheel, and then arpeggio, chord generators, tons of stuff. Yeah, let's start off with just listening to some of the demos that I've created. So I've had this for about 2 weeks, and I made 2 songs. And so here is the second song that I created. So all the sounds in here, 100% made with current. There's about 9 instances of current in here. One or 2 sounds in here I actually sort of resampled and just use audio, just because it's a lot easier to like line up timing of a swell, that sort of thing. So like, for example, that's this. Now that started out by taking a sound from, let's say, went to the stream page, and then I found a sample texture. Just picking one, you can choose whether it goes into the granular engine or the sampler. Once I selected that, I guess I went into the granular. So that's a tape cassette sound, 5 layers, spread it a bit. I'm not going to go too in depth in how to use everything, but essentially I created a swell with this. So let me bring this back. So a ramp in and out, and I used a similar curve for the cutoff frequency. Because I'm always using the global sampler script in Reaper, I just grabbed that as audio, brought it in. I decided that reversed sounded better so that I got the delay before the actual sound. It's kind of neat. And then I just put some Valhalla vintage verb on it as well. A lot of the sounds in this song in particular, I believe came from this pack called Revival Synths. I'm pretty sure, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 of them came from just auditioning sounds in the Revival Synths pack, and then I ended up like favoriting a lot of them. It's sorted by favorites right now, but um, there's probably like 6 in there that I really liked, and that inspired the sound. Yeah, let's just move on to the next sound here. This is called Glassy Choir. I think that's a really great sound. So this is a combination of 2 wavetable synths along with a granular sound effect. I actually don't know if there's a way of auditioning just the one sound. I could solo it. I can chord arm it. So this is the mixer section, and you can solo the different things here. I think this is one of my favorite sounds. This is called Hammer 808. It's just a great, incredibly useful sound. And I love that it sort of like blows out the low end of this of the song when it comes into this section. I like when everything kind of gets compressed there when that comes in. That was the whole point of it. And like a little bit of EQ. This sound here. So it's sort of a metallic hit that's using the sampler mode. So the drums in this are really just this particular sound. It's a combination of a attack click along with a little bit of a sine wave. And then we're actually making that sound through the arpeggio. So having the arpeggio on. It repeats it. And I was just using Devious Machine's Duck to create just a little bit more dynamics. Giving that first hit an accent. This sound here is more of a 303 sort of acid sound. Lots of mod wheel automation, plus some of the macro. Just as a transition effect, and I think that's really helpful. For me, this pack of sounds was really inspiring, and I was able to make a song essentially like in an hour or two. I got 90% of this done, and then just sort of added a little bit of EQ and compression, and I like how it sounds. Now let's move on to the second demo, which is actually from the very first day that I used this synth. Unfortunately, I have to play it from an MP3 demo because I updated XO, the plugin ID changed, and I no longer have drums in my session. So it's unfortunate, but it'll do. So let's check out my first demo, my first attempt using this plugin to create a song. So I didn't know a whole lot about what you could do with it. I mostly went with presets and then refined it over the next few days. I just realized it got really mangled there at the end. That's because I had a play rate change in the project, but it's playing back in the MP3. It is going all weird. Let me play that back at the very end. That's the way it's supposed to sound. So it's a simple song, and I think it's just kind of guided by the vibe that I got going through some of the presets. I don't know exactly which was the very first sound that I laid down in this project. It may have been this one here. I mean, that's a pretty useful sound. My preference for synth sounds are really like Juno, Moogs, Jupiters, things like that. Sort of like these vintage analog sounds. I don't really vibe with granular engines all that much. I have been kind of surprised that a lot of the sounds that I do choose end up using some granular elements. I think the sound quality of granular, not just here, but in Phase Plant and Pigments and things like that. I'm pretty sure Pigments does granular. It just sort of sounds grainy, and I know that's kind of the thing, but it doesn't sound clean to me. And so I don't tend to create sounds with granular, but occasionally I'll find something in the stream view. They use a granular, and I like it. So yeah, I'm going for like vintage synth vibes with a lot of this stuff. This sound here. Distorted, echoey, but pretty cool sounding. This one, especially in this section here, it reminded me a lot of some of the sounds that Tycho gets. Uh, and so this is a mix of the wavetable synth. Let me go to the mixer, solo oscillator A. And it's just getting the sort of choppy effects from the envelope generators in here. This is an example of where the granular engine is being used. I like the sound, but it is grainy, vintagey kind of thing. I mean, it has actually a VHS like fuzz on it. So it sounds sort of like choppy, chunky, like it's not a smooth, continuous tone like you would get with an oscillator. Of course, then I play it and it sounds horrible. But that's just a matter of like the warping being on here. If I disable it, smooth, continuous sound, but then it's warped here. Not necessarily the sorts of sounds that I would create on my own, but nonetheless, it was an inspiring sound, and it kind of I believe that was one of the first sounds in this project that kind of spawned everything else. Oh, and I wanted to show you that here, the CPU load is pretty reasonable. I'm at a 64 sample buffer, and my performance meter says that it's like 1.5% per track. But I have no problems playing back this project with 9 instances of the plugin with lots of effects inside of each one and maybe a little bit of extra EQ and compression after the fact. So it seems to be very reasonable, not a lot of PDC or anything like that in these either. So in terms of what you can do and the performance requirements of it, or the CPU requirements, I think it's very reasonable. So to finish this off, let's go through some of my favorite presets that I have selected just as I've auditioned it. And I mean, it looks like close to 100. I like the XY pad in Current. I don't tend to use it that much. What I've been doing is assigning the 4 parameters here to knobs on the controller. And that works pretty well. If I had 2 separate joysticks, that would be perfect because then I can do X and Y on 2 different joysticks and really move these around. Using the mouse, you can only do one at a time. Even using the controller and the knobs, you can only do one at a time, really, while you're playing. So it's not at all a fault of Current. It's just my hardware doesn't enable what I want to do exactly. So, anyways, let's load up Oregon Trails. Kind of a weird sound. I don't remember what it was that I liked about it, but it's fun. So this is called glitch error. It's one of the sound effect categories, and you would just, play a bunch of sounds, record them out, and then probably chop them up and put them into a project. But like every time you press a key, it's a different sound, and that's pretty useful for collecting source sounds. This one's called Kinetic Stomp. Haas Crumble. You get quite a bit of expression just from moving the mod wheel. So let me just look at what that. So this is a granular based one. But it's kind of using like all the sections here. Blade Run. Great sound. Already I'm thinking I can make a song, like I know the next part in my head. Just a matter of finding the right sound for the next part. But, like a Juno lead over that would be so nice. So I love that like the effects builds with the mod wheel. It gets more filtered, it gets more reverb. Really cool. Oh, yeah, I should also say that, you don't have to press load every time. You can just click on one of the presets and it will generate some, like a sample for you. and you can use the arrow keys. And then enter will usually load that sound. There's been a few instances where the arrow keys and then enter won't load the sound, and I'm not sure why, but that's one weird thing I ran into. And so when it loads the sound, it will take you over to the play page. I mentioned mapping the parameters to controls. There isn't actually a MIDI learn within the plugin. You're going to use the host automation. So I'll just move this noise control here, go to param menu in Reaper, and then go to learn, and I move that controller, and then move on to the next one. So touch, param, learn, move parameter 2, controller 2, etc. And once you do this once for this instance, it will remember that, like if you duplicate the track, things like that. So that will just be remembered. And again, those 4 parameters there that you see on the left, those are the macro controls that you can link to pretty much anything in the effects section or the engine section. And then they're also the controllers that you see here in the play view. So you can see these moving left and right, up and down. This one's called Flickering Glow. Chorus Melt. Hammer 808. I showed this one before, but it's just so good. Such a cyberpunk-esque thing. And I used that in the first demo that I showed. So this is one that I like, the general vibe of it. But to actually use it in a song, I would probably turn off the granular section. Maybe the sampler section as well. So those pitch changes are coming through this this envelope curve. So this is assigned to, go to matrix view, curve 1. Curve 1 is assigned to oscillator 1 pitch. But I can just click here and change that to oscillator 2 pitch. Just as an example of what you can do or how you can use the modulation matrix, and you can scale the amounts here, but it's kind of the same as dragging this. You can see everything in one place. You can bypass it. You can change it to unipolar or bipolar. You can kind of change the tension of it. All these different things. Very cool stuff. In addition to the stream page, there's also this sort of standard preset list up at the top, and you can sort by category. You can see which ones are favorited or not. You can view the tags, distortion and gritty, and so Current is a synthesizer kind of platform. They want this to expand. They want people to make presets and probably sell them. They've shown that they are expanding this with more presets, more wavetables, more sounds that you can load in. They've listened to the customers and they've improved it by adding the play page and things like that. So yeah, this is just going to get bigger and better. This is a free update for existing users, which is fantastic. Good to see. They do a rent-to-own kind of subscription, as well as there's a sale right now, $99, I believe it is, to get this. And after the sort of launch period, it will be, I think it's $199 is the price. So I think for $99, definitely it's worth it. There's so many great things. Now, if you are an existing customer of Serum or Pigments or Faceplant, definitely overlap in features. If you've liked the sounds that you've heard in this video, check it out. I think that it's offering some really great stuff that for me doesn't overlap with what I already have. My job here isn't really to convince you to buy this. I'm not gonna get anything from that. I got this plugin for free. I found it useful in the couple weeks that I've used it, and it's made me kind of excited to make some music, which is always a good thing. Like that's why we're doing this. And if you are interested in getting this, there will be a link in the description, not an affiliate link. Check it out. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Support the Reaper blog through Patreon, and visit reaper.blog for more tutorials.